All right, so for anybody listening or watching, we have the star of Joe and his wife, the unofficial star, but technically the star. LaNae Ferguson playing Amara. She's in here, and we got also her husband. So get this right, Josiah. Nice. Yeah, I had like two times to get that right. I'm like, I gotta get on the first try. I gotta get it right. So we good, we good. But how y'all doing? How y'all doing, man? How y'all feeling today?
Okay, just a bit tired, you know. He's had a full work day, and I've been at my mom's house working on a little project of mine. So I'm hoping that I can get it done soon.
Yeah, okay. She stay working. They stay working. Yeah, I
Mm.
appreciate y'all time, man. I appreciate it for sure. All right. So first things first, I gotta get this out the way. I've read somewhere that you was a Michael Jackson fan. I don't know if that's true. It might have been a tabloid or a rumor, but I heard somewhere you're a Michael Jackson fan. So if I can get out of you your favorite Michael Jackson song, what would it be? For both of y'all, because I know just like my
Oh,
be, but in case he is,
it's difficult. It's so difficult
Yeah, it's
because
hard.
he has so many. He has so many. And a lot
yeah,
of my favorites are actually songs that weren't popular. Like for example, one of my favorite go-to songs when I'm auditioning for let's say I'm auditioning for a show or someone needs a singer for something, I will sing One Day in Your Life by Michael Jackson because it shows a great contrast. It's a beautiful ballad and it shows my strengths and my weaknesses as a singer, how I approach a note versus how soft I can be. It has the perfect dynamics for everything in my
yeah,
vocal range. And then I guess another favorite, just to name two, because obviously there's a lot more. Another one would be, I guess, All the Things You Are, which is technically just a cover song that he did as a kid. I believe Frank Sinatra was the original person who did it, but I like his version better.
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Before I keep going, just do you have any? Do you have any, bro? Any songs or?
I don't have a top favorite because it's like, just like she says, it's hard because he has so many.
Yeah,
Um, but I like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Um, they don't care about us.
fire, fire.
Free Willy, the Free Willy song.
All right, listen, get some movie soundtracks in here. I ain't mad at it. Yeah,
But like, there's so much. I don't have you know a scale of which one's my best favorite.
yeah, yeah. No, it's all good. I mean, you got some out there, some good ones out there. Now, I personally am one of the biggest Michael Jackson fans you'll ever meet. So that's why I had
Uh-oh.
to ask that question. And it's why I also can't answer that question because it's for the same reason. If we'd be here all night, I should answer that. So I just want to see if y'all could do it because I know I have struggled doing that. I struggle with it.
You
So
know what?
I struggle
You
with
about
it.
to tempt me. You about to tempt me because I got something for you then. Since you are also a huge Michael Jackson fan, like
Uh-oh.
super fan, there was one year I also draw too. I haven't drawn in a minute, but one of my first drawings that I did, my dad took me to Gary, Indiana, back when they used to do Michael Jackson's birthday parties every year before COVID.
Mhm.
And when I was there, on the way up, I drew this picture of Michael and the whole family. They sit under this tent in the backyard, and I went up there and Rebe Jackson signed my picture that I drew of Michael.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm
crazy.
gonna have to show it to you one day.
Can you co-sign that, Josiah? Is that real? Can you co-sign that? Was you there?
He
No,
wasn't
I
there.
wasn't there.
Oh man, that's wild. Rebe, she's like the oldest older
Yeah.
sister, right? It is the older sister.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
listen. Yeah, we gotta talk about that. Yeah, I gotta see his picture because that's historical right there. No, but I appreciate y'all again. I just want to put the ice a little bit with that question. Um, but yeah, we're just gonna be talking about the short film that we're about a week out from shooting, Joe and his wife. Um, I'm super excited about it. I really do feel like this message is one that isn't talked about a whole lot because of, reasons. People don't want to talk about it. It's not a feels like a happy-go-lucky topic. But I think like using art, like film, like music, makes things more palpable, makes them more easy to receive. And I think that the way this film kind of approaches that, I think is going to make it not just easier to receive, but also it's gonna let it land a little bit harder because it's like we're not just talking at you, but like, we're talking with you through this story of these two people. What do you want me to do? I don't have all the answers. I don't know if I have the words to make any of this better. Yeah, I just really, really am excited about it and wanted to get some of your thoughts, having, been a week out from it, having been able to sit with it a little bit, kind of hear where you are standing with it. But before we start, let me get right here. Let me get right. Gotta make sure I come correct today. Can't be out here looking crazy, so make sure I come correct. All right. Okay. Let me ready now. Ready now. All right. First question for you. What initially drew you to this project? Like, what about this made you want to say yes?
If I remember seeing the casting call correctly, uh, I'm gonna just be brutally honest.
Oh yeah.
When
Oh yeah.
I joined a bunch of different casting groups on Facebook, and I saw on Backstage one day, actually, I believe it was Backstage. There were two different casting calls. One of them was yours, one of them was a different film. And I can't talk about that film right now. But I saw that it listed who the producer was and stuff like that. And since I'm not technically subscribed to Backstage, I was like, okay, let me just go ahead and find this person on Facebook or whatever social media is and try and send them an email so that way I can get my foot in the door and hopefully this will work out. And I read the description and I was like, okay, this matches my morals. There's no nudity, there's no cussing and stuff like that. This is cool. And it was actually a great surprise to me when you emailed me back telling me that this script was actually biblically based. That made my entire day. So it wasn't necessarily like as soon as I saw it, I fell in love because I really had no true idea of what the project was about.
Mhm.
But it was after you told me the synopsis on the of the film and what it was based on. I was like, oh shoot, this is gonna hit home, and I love this. So I got really excited from there.
Yeah. That's what's up. That's what's up. And while we're being honest about stuff, I actually was in the midst of receiving different submissions from folks. And I got to a point where I was like, I think I might have my person. And so before I like went back to this person was gonna say, hey, I want you to be part of the film or do want to consider being a part of the film. I got your messenger message and he was like, I can audition for this part. And I was like, I'm pretty much set on my person, I want to be nice and whatever. So I'm gonna, allow her to audition and stuff. And then when you mentioned, you had like a person you wanted to do it with, like your husband wanted to act, I was like, that's interesting. That's one less actor or whatever. That's cool. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see what this is about, kind of back in my mind, like I got my person. This is just gonna be a nice kind of way to see like what the dynamic would look like with two people. It's cool, it's whatever. Then I saw you guys' audition, and I was like, hold up, hold on. There's something here. Like, even the way y'all staged it, I was like, they was thinking about this. They put some thought into this audition right here. Like, I mean, we got Josiah posted up, like in his own little zone, like really talking, and then you got yourself on the phone, and he's like, I was like, this some thought put into this, and I was like, wait, this might be something, and so like as we kept conversing through email, like as I kept hearing more and more of like that excitement that you're talking about, I was like, this other person is just trying to get a job. LaNae is like she's like trying to be a part of something. So I was like, yeah, we gotta make a pivot because at this point, it's like a no-brainer. That's gotta be LaNae. And so Yeah, man, I'm excited to like use it to be a part of it, honestly, because I think no shade against who was going to be in it before, but I think it's 10 times better with having you as part of the project as Amara. So that's
That
just
means a lot to me. Seriously.
it's
Because
real.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you I don't know if you had questions about this later, but like a little bit after you told me what this project is about too, the fact that it was about grief, there's a huge reason behind that. I don't know if you had questions about that or not, but there's a huge reason why that spoke to me. And there's also a huge reason why the fact that this is a Christian film spoke to me as well. So did you have specific questions or did you just want me to go into it?
I mean, I had a question kind of leading to it, but if you want to go into
I,
it, what's on your mind, just, floor is yours. You get to see you talk and hear you talk. So
I can let you ask the question. Get them all out so we can segue the right way.
that's crazy. Yeah. All right. All right. So keep it moving then. Keep it moving. So this is more of a character question. In your words, who is Amara and what was your process like getting into character for her?
So this also, okay, this is great because this also plays into it. Um, Initially, upon reading Amara's character, before you gave me the fact that this was biblically based, I had reflected on. Joe, am I allowed to speak? No, I'm not gonna give too much. So I kind of reflected on my husband. He lost his brother last year, and I thought about how his mom felt when she discovered that piece of information that her oldest son had passed away. And I kind of reflected on her stages of grief, what she's been going through, how she's been handling it. But I also reflected upon my grief. Like when we were filming, I know you saw me looking at that Instagram when I was supposed to be grieving over our child, essentially. I put up a picture of my dad because my dad also passed away last year. And I used that emotion to kind of channel it because I figured the type of bond that me and my dad had is very similar, but also opposite to what Amara feels. And that's how I
Mm,
was able to play onto it. Even though I myself don't know what it feels like to be a parent, I can only imagine how much stronger because like I was torn apart when my dad passed away. And I can only imagine if the tables were turned, how he would feel. So I tried to like allow myself to give myself permission to feel what I feel, not just for the scene, but like it's okay to be human. Because a lot of people, we don't like to cry, we don't like to get emotional, we don't like to, we feel some sort of shame as if we're a burden to other people. And this was a time where it's like, it's okay to do this, it's okay. And I just had to kind of sit with myself and get real. Now, the other flip side was when I had the biblical context, this film actually granted me a better understanding of Amara per your modernization of the story. Because oftentimes in church, when they talk about the book of Job, they often depict Job's wife as just this nagging woman who just wants him to curse God and die. And the way you painted Amara in this film gives it a better and a more digestible version of Job's wife
mm,
by putting
mm.
her in the modern day perspective and by letting her have more words to say and focusing the camera on her emotions and stuff like that. All those little things, even in this, what is it going to be like a 15-minute film, right? You're capturing all of that. And in so many hundreds of years, so many churches have not been able to properly capture that feeling in the words of the Bible, but you have. So I want to thank you for that.
Wow. Well, that is high praise. Thank you. Um, no, that's powerful. I like that that is kind of the place you went to because I know that there are some actors that will, there's many methods that people go to get into character. Some people will pull on personal experience. Some people will watch their favorite actor do a scene and mimic that person. Some people will, try and figure out like what's like what sounds right, what inflection sounds like the most emotional, they'll like do different things. But I think that when you can pull from personal experience, there's a authenticity to it that really can't be replicated in other ways. And so, I'm gonna speak for myself. When I was writing it, I was writing it from a place of, you know, the optimist, which is me trying to be like, okay, well, life is hard, but life is good. And also the part of me that's like, well, life can be like really, really bad sometimes. Life can suck sometimes. And in the latter part, I pulled from my own personal experiences as well. Well, I lost some people close to me recently as well. And like, there's a certain like depth that if I was writing that before those losses happened, I wouldn't be able to kind of see the characters in the way that I saw them. And so I think that while, it may not be seen as a net positive all the time that this stuff has happened, there's growth on the other side of it. And there's things you can learn through it if push through it that can either make you better or make you able to easier allow you to help somebody else do their own stuff because you've been through it as well. And so, yeah, I love that's where you came from with it. And I think it definitely came through. Like it definitely came through in a couple of those scenes. That's where it came from. So, yeah, I thank you for your vulnerability and thank you for even sharing that because that brings definitely some context to kind of where you found yourself by the time we shot that. Yeah, I appreciate you. I said we weren't gonna get deep here, but guess what? We got deep. I'm sorry. It happened.
Hey, you cannot
It
not go
happened.
deep with this film. Okay, you already have a deep subject. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't even talk about grief. Like, you're gonna have to go deep with this film.
I was trying to be like, I was trying to be a little on the surface, but no, we got going to water a little bit. It's okay. It's okay.
After all those memories become painful reminders that he isn't here anymore.
Um, so we kind of already answered this third question. This was gonna be a deep question, but we kind of already got here. I was gonna ask, like, why do you think it's important to talk about grief and talk about suffering? And then I was gonna say on the flip side, do you think those conversations should be avoided? So obviously, we know your answer.
Oh, I'm gonna try to keep this short because this is where I get to purely reflect on last year with my dad. So, thankfully, my husband was here for me during that time. And we were just engaged at that point. We weren't even married when my father passed. So it was like times 10 when our wedding day came. But absolutely, grief needs to be talked about in a different way than it is already discussed. And I wanted to point that out specifically because I found that the hardest thing ever, which is also partially what Amara and Joe go through in the film, is the way that people allow you to express grief is only in a socially acceptable way. The hardest part for me when my dad passed away was not the fact that my dad in himself had passed away, but it was the people that I constantly had to appease in the midst of my grief, in the midst of having a timeline of people reminding me, like, oh, there's only so much time before his body starts decomposing, and you got to do this and you got to do that. And it's like, I don't even have the insurance money yet. Like, can you just let me process the fact that I don't have my dad in the physical body anymore, that he's
Yeah,
not going to walk me down the aisle?
yeah,
And there was even a turning point where I had major anxiety because there were people just coming to my house that I didn't know unannounced. And I made a post and I was like, guys, can we please just not give out my personal info to people so that they're not just not popping up at my house? And I had to make a public apology because of the way that I came off. And I'm like, that shouldn't even be a thing. If someone sets a boundary, you should be willing to respect it. So grief needs to be able to be talked about, but everyone's process is different. Some people are going to be in the angry phase longer than they should. And I found out in my own journey, it's not even like stages of grief, it's more like waves. You have good grief days, you have bad grief days where you just can't even move. And you also have days where it's like, okay, I am one with this idea that they're no longer in the physical, but they're still right here. It's different in every single part, every single day. Like, it hit me so hard my first birthday. I was totally fine leading up to that. And then all of a sudden, on my birthday, it hit me all over again. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So, yes, we need to allow people to have, who are grieving, to have the space to be able to express themselves as they need to and be there in the way that they need to. If they need people to be with them, be with them. If they need people to give them space, give them space. I'm gonna end it right there because I was talking a long time.
This is what this call was for, honestly. Honestly. No, but that was good. That was really good. Because like that's real. I think that a lot of people can get kind of caught in that space of societal convention where it's like everyone wants to look proper and say the right thing and not offend anybody, not be. But it's hard to do that whenever, you've gone through something like that affects you so deeply. It's hard to like ignore that. In fact, I think
Exactly.
it might be even like worse to kind of suppress that because that stuff needs release at some point. And you'd rather be in a healthy space than in a way where you're blowing up. And so, I think that that is really important to like, yeah, talk about it because if we don't, the people are gonna keep thinking it's not okay to keep suppressing it, and it's gonna keep coming out in ways that aren't as healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, and real quick, going back to Amara, because you'd mentioned the way that I wrote her kind of gave her a different significance than how most people in church talk about her. That came out of an article I read where um this article kind of compared like Job's wife to a caregiver. And I don't know if you've seen the caregiver or know about what a caregiver does, but basically it's like, for example, um one of my grandmothers, towards the end of her life, she had Alzheimer's and she was in a nursing home and like by the end of her life she really couldn't talk too much. So she had like, people taking care of her all the time, getting her around and all type of stuff. And so a caregiver is literally like, you know, your hands, you can't use your hands anymore. The person that's kind of doing everything for you in that stage of life. And so if you think about Job, at that point in the story, he was sick, he had lost pretty much everything, and his wife is basically watching him go through all this. And she basically has to become, in a way, that caregiver for him while he is, suffering in his own way. And the thing the article mentioned is that sometimes caregivers, because they care so much and are around this person so much, they can like feel like the weight and burden of what that person is going through because they're just, if they're empathetic like that, they can feel all that and they
Mhm.
can, while they won't say it, they may have moments where they're like, it would be much easier for this person if they weren't suffering like this. Like, if they either just get healed or if they like pass on, it'd be better than where they are right now. And so they compared that type of caregiver moment to Job's wife when she said, why don't you curse God and die? She wasn't saying, I want you to die. She was saying, I want you to be at peace. I
Yes.
want you to not be hurting anymore. And so that is where that line came out of. So, like, I don't know if that brings any piece to you about like the line you mentioned, but like it wasn't meant out of malice. Like I think that the way she said that line, the way I meant the line to come off is I want you to be at peace no matter what that looks like. And I kind of manipulated that line to kind of be in that space and kind of put forth that type of intention. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of mention that because that was mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to kind of give context to that a little bit.
That's definitely how I took that line because it's
Hmm.
very easy to look at that line in the Bible for so many years and be like, oh, she's so cruel. But when you put it into that perspective, when I arrived at that line, even before we got to the filming day and I was just reading it on my own, I was like, yeah, there is no other way to approach this than I want nothing but peace for you. Like, I think death is more peaceful than you suffering like this right now. And like, I remember us going through the push and pull, like the holding of the hands and having that significance, like you reaching out for me and I'm accepting it for the first time in the whole film, and having that transparent moment where it's like, I don't want us to be in pain like this anymore. Can we just let's go, let's be with our child, you know?
Hmm.
I love that. I just, it's painful, it's raw, but I love it.
Yeah, and I want people to peep this too. Like again, she's not saying I want you to die. Like the heart is not that he would go. Like she wants to stay with him. She wants him to be with her. But she's thinking about what would be best for him in that moment. She's being empathetic. She's being an empath in that moment and thinking what would make you like like feel the best. What would be the best thing for you right now? She's thinking in the moment. And
Mhm.
so while I think that her side is very important and her side is very valid, I think that we need the balance of Joe also to say, in the moment, yes, it's maybe how we feel, but again, that's not the solution here. The solution isn't, you know, to totally deny life and say life is meaningless. No, the decision is trust God regardless of whatever he does. If, he says we're going to be healed, cool. If he says we're not, cool, but we're trusting God. We're not leaving him because of a moment of grief, a moment of suffering, which, the line in the book, Job says, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Like that's what that comes from. It comes from him saying, regardless of whatever happens to me, God's still worthy of, my trust. And so that's what we're going, is what it is. So again, I love that there's this dichotomy. There's this like, just two sides of this argument, and you understand both sides, but they bring a kind of a balance when you bring them together. So let me get off of that because we'll be all night talking about that, and I think just like trying to go to sleep. So I'm gonna take his time. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to go to sleep. All right, last question. What are you most excited for people to see or get out of this film?
I'm excited for the conversations that are now going to be opened up because of
For
this
sure.
film. That is the main thing. And I hope that this film will provide people, well, I should say families, with the safe space of knowing that grief is not taboo. Grief is normal and everybody's process is different. And this is the time where we need to digest who we're becoming the most, because grief is going to change you, but you cannot shy away from it. So you have to embrace the change, but also embrace each other as you learn to embrace that change. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, that could be on a t-shirt. Grief is gonna change you. Like, that's a quote. That's a quote. I'm gonna put that somewhere. That's crazy. But that's real though. That's real though. Sheesh. All right. Well, I mean, at the risk of leaving them out, does Joe have anything to say? Anything to add on any of that?
No, not really.
Okay. So if you had any thoughts on anything, man, while you was always in the ruminating, I don't know if anything was going on in your mind right there.
He's always kind of like to himself and stuff like that.
That's what's up.
But
I respect it. I respect it.
yeah.
No, but that's the last question I had. I thank y'all for listening, watching, whatever ends up happening with this. Um, Shameless plug. The plan is to have this film premiere January 10th.
Okay.
And look out for release updates. There's probably going to be some type of party, type of private screening somewhere at some point. So look out for that. And yeah, till next time, peace and deuces, y'all.
All right. So this has been Joe and his wife with Joe and his wives.
Oh, that's wild. That's staying in too. And using that.